Welcome to our class today where we'll talk about city life and country life. So, why don't you share where you live now? Do you live in the city or do you live in the country? And if you live in the city, is it a large metropolis like you see in the image here, or is it a smaller city? So you can share that. And what about your preference? Ooh, do you prefer living in the city or in the country? So let's make this interactive as well. So let's talk about convenience and access. Of course, there are a lot of differences between city life and country life. City life and country life. You can say, one thing I like. So, one thing I like about. So, notice that preposition about. One thing I like about, and then city life. Now you can change this. So to practice, what I want you to do is change it to the opposite. So if it's city life, change it to country life, and then make sure you change what comes next. This is a great way to practice. One thing I like about city life is that everything is close by. Now, you could say everything is close. Or it's very common to add by, close by. Everything is close by. So, of course, close by, close means proximity. So, that's one thing you can say as well. I'm living currently in the UAE. Okay, so city life or country life? What would you say? City life, urban life? Yeah, exactly. So if you live in the city, you could say, oh, I love urban life. So urban would be a replacement for city. And for country life, rural. Rural would be the replacement for country. Now, notice, of course, when we're using country life, yes, you would say Canada, US, Germany, those are countries, but I live in the country. Okay. I live in the country. That means a rural area. So make sure you include that. I live in a metropolitan city. So you need an article, a metropolitan city. Okay, city life, city life. All right, let's keep going. How about this? In the country. So remember, you need the as well. In the country, in the city. In the country, you usually have more space, but you often have to drive farther to get to stores or services. So, this is a great sentence structure. You can start with something that sounds positive, use but or however, and then talk about something that's a contrast. So, something that's more negative. Now, you can do the opposite. You can start with something that sounds more negative and then end with something that sounds more positive. That's a great thing to do as well. Okay, in the country, so in the country, you usually have more space, but you often have to drive farther to get to stores or services. Now, notice these adverbs of frequency, usually, often. This is to make it sound less definitive. Because if you just say you have more space, this sounds like it's a fact and everyone is in that situation. So if you want to make it sound less definitive, like there are circumstances where this isn't true, then you can use adverbs of frequency like usually, sometime, most of the time, often. Okay. I like the city for a short time to enjoy a cosmopolitan life. Yes, cosmopolitan life, that's city life. Very nice. I like the countryside for a quiet life. Oh, well, isn't this a great contrast? Very nicely done. How about this? Living. Notice we start with a gerund verb, living. Everyone, let's practice this sentence structure. Living. Living in, now you can say the city or living in the country. Now you can make a statement. Here, your statement is going to be in third person singular because we have one gerund, so it's conjugated as singular. Living in the city makes it easy to run errands because so many places are nearby. Now notice here, instead of are close by, are close, you can say nearby as an alternative. Are nearby. Okay. In the country, everything is far-fetched. Far-fetched isn't the right word choice. And you have to drive to the destinations despite you being exposed. This is a little off. There definitely are some changes you need to make. Far-fetched isn't the right choice. And then your second clause has some errors in it, but good try. Okay. Living in the country is preferable to avoid the chaos of the city. Very nice. I like that. Good job getting your gerund sentence. Living in the city makes it easy to get good higher education as it has many good institutes and colleges. Very nice. Living far away from. You need far away from. I live far from downtown. I live far from your house. I live far from my school or my work. So living far from the central city makes it so difficult to find many job offers. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, how about this? In the countryside. So notice you can just say in the country, or you can turn it into a compound word and have countryside, but it's one word. Countryside, countryside. But it's the exact same as in the country. In the country, in the countryside. Okay? In the countryside, in the country. Now you could change this to in the city. You wouldn't say in the city side. Okay? So adding side as one word is only used for country. It is not used for city. So in the countryside, in the city. In the countryside, everyday tasks. So notice here, every day, every day. This is not the same as I wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I take the bus to work every day. So every day as two words is an adverb and it's a time reference. It means each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every day as one word is an adjective and it means routine, regular tasks. So what would be a regular task? Getting groceries, things like that, going to work, uh, getting things delivered, things like that. Those are everyday tasks. Can take more time, but many people enjoy the quiet and the open space. So, open meaning that you have a lot of space. So, in the city, there isn't a lot of open space because there are buildings and stores in all the spaces. But when you see large fields and large properties, you could call those open spaces, open spaces. So space without a lot of buildings or objects on them. Okay, so everyday tasks can take more time, but many people enjoy. So notice we're doing the same thing. We're starting with a negative this time. Tasks take more time. That's negative. Now I'm going to use but, and I'm going to introduce something more positive. This is the way that you will sound very advanced on your IELTS or in a job interview or even just having a regular conversation if you introduce these contrasts. Okay, but many people enjoy the quiet and the open space. And yeah, exactly, Fabio. Open space is like just big space, but you can have a big space and then there are a lot of buildings or a lot of objects. But an open space is vacant. Grass, fields, crops, maybe some animals for agricultural purposes. That would be an open space. City life is more hectic. Everyone repeat after me. Hectic. and everything is going very fast there. Yeah, and everything is, I would say, fast paced. Fast paced. Hectic means very busy, but also very busy in a more stressful way, because you can be busy in a positive way, but busy in a more stressful, negative way. Okay, let's keep going and move on to transportation and commuting. And before we move on, also make sure you like this lesson. Are you enjoying it? And put yes, yes, yes in the comments. I already saw a student put yes, yes, yes. So I appreciate that. So please put yes, yes, yes in the comments. It's a great way to support the channel. And it's a great way to show me that you appreciate the free lessons that I provide. Okay, so put yes, yes, yes in the comments. And also, I have this free speaking guide for you where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. So you can find the link in the description to download this, or you can just go to my website, jforestenglish.com, and get it as well. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Woohoo. I appreciate that. All right. Let's move on. I prefer the countryside to the city because it's less crowded. Very nice sentence. Well done. Let's keep going. In the city, so remember, in the city, in the country, or in the countryside as one word, countryside. Many people take buses, trains, or the subway to get to work. So this sentence suggests there are many different transportation options. So you could say that as well. In the city, there are many different transportation options. So you could say that as one of the positives. Now, remember, if you wanted, you can continue on with a but, and then provide a negative. And you're doing this to just provide a more balanced answer. In the city, many people take trains, buses, or the subway to get to work, but traffic is terrible. Hmm. So that could be a but and then something that sounds negative. Now, of course, the thing that sounds negative should be related to what you're talking about here. So we're talking about transportation. How about this? In rural areas, most people rely on a car because public transportation is limited. So here is limited. This means there are not many transportation options. But on the other hand, if you say something is limited, it still suggests it's there to some degree. Okay. Because otherwise, you would just say there are no public transportation options because is limited suggests there are some. Here's a strong one because public transportation is non existent. You could say is non existent. That's a very strong way of saying there are no public transportation options, is non existent. It doesn't exist. So that would be a stronger way. Yeah, but there is a lot of traffic. So traffic is uncountable. There's no S. You got that correct, but your verb has to match it. But there is a lot of traffic. The inconvenience of the countryside, very nice, is that you need to have a car. Yeah, instead of need to have, you can just say you need a car. You need a car. There's no need to include have. You need a car. How about this? Traffic in the city. Ooh, well, we were just talking about traffic. Traffic in the city. So here we're making a gerund statement. We're starting with the noun being traffic. So traffic in the city. This functions as the subject of the sentence and it would be conjugated as third person singular. But we have can, and can is the same for all subjects. So it wouldn't matter if you had a plural subject, it would still be can. And then can is a modal, so can plus base verb. Traffic in the city can be heavy. So notice this adjective to describe traffic, heavy. Oh, traffic was so heavy today. Oh, traffic is pretty light right now because what's the opposite of heavy? This box is heavy. This box is light. So the opposite of describing traffic as bad, heavy is bad, would be not bad, which would be light. So heavy and light. You can go quickly if the traffic is light. Traffic in the city can be heavy during the morning and evening commute. Probably all the time, not just the morning and evening commute, but you could be specific as well. Yeah. Traffic in the city is very stressful because it is heavy during the morning and evening commute. So notice how we just took one idea and we expanded on it. We showed off your language fluency for your IELTS exam or for a job interview or even in just any conversation because we just provided more information. Well done. Okay, let's keep going. Traffic in the city always wears me down. Oh, yeah. So if it wears you down, it means it causes you to go into a more of a negative state, tired, frustrated, lack of energy, just defeated, defeated. Very nicely said. Okay. In the country, remember you could also say in the countryside, in the country, the drive to work may be longer, but the roads are usually less crowded. Okay, exactly. And notice these sentences are written to be more general because they use words like may be longer. Because when you add that, it's adding some uncertainty in the sense that is not presenting it as fact, is presenting it as an option. It may, but it may not. Now, there's certainly a time and place when you want to do that, but if you are talking about your own experience, you don't need to do that. You could just say, in the country, the drive to work is longer because you're talking about your drive to work. I live in the country and my drive to work is longer, but the roads are less crowded. So you could include usually. Usually means most of the time, but sometimes there is traffic. Is that true? I don't know. I've never been in a traffic jam in the country, but maybe you have. So you could include usually. Oh, here's a good one. In the countryside, there's less traffic, but the roads may be in bad conditions. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, because there's more infrastructure in the city. They're faster to repair roads and services because more people use them. Very nicely said. And I love that contrast. So there's a positive, less traffic, but however, and then a negative. Remember, you can switch that order. Let's keep going and talk about work and professional opportunities. And another student already referenced that there are less job opportunities in the country. Of course, that's true because the population size is tiny. So, of course, there are less opportunities. So, what do we have here? Cities usually offer more job opportunities in different industries. So, again, notice this use of usually, which is not required, but it does make your sentence sound less definitive. Cities usually offer more job opportunities in different industries. Okay. So, it's not just the job opportunities, the fact that there are more jobs, but it's also different industries. So that's an easy way to expand on a simple idea. You could say there are more job opportunities, but even adding on in different opportunity in different industries basically doubles the number of words in your idea and makes it more complex. My city is an industrial city. Yeah. And then you could continue on. And what's the result of that? So there are many job opportunities in, and then you could list the type of jobs, or so what's the impact of that? Not that you have to do it in this comment, but that's a great way to, again, expand on an idea. Farming is the most popular profession in the countryside. Okay. In the countryside is one word. Yes, it's made up of the word country and side, but it's one word for spelling. There's no difference in spoken English, but this is spelled incorrectly. And you need the article the. But you could also just say the country. There's no difference. In the countryside, you rarely get better opportunities compared to big cities. Compared to. You don't want rather than, you want compared to. Okay, how about this one? People who live in the country, so in the country or countryside, people who live in the country sometimes work remotely or commute to a nearby town or city. So here, the word nearby, we're talking about proximity. So far and then close or near. So nearby. Now, nearby functions as an adjective here to a nearby town or city. You could also turn it into an adverb and say to a town or city nearby because it's an adverb of place. A town or city nearby. Or as an adjective, a nearby town or city. Both are fine. And then commute, of course, means how you move from one location to another. You can commute many different ways: a car, train, bus, bicycle, even. You can walk. And again, we're using this word to make it sound less definitive. Sometimes people who live in the country, people who live in the country sometimes work remotely or commute to a nearby town or city. Okay, countryside. Remember, you need the. It's not city, country. It's the city, the country, the countryside. So great job getting it spelled as one word, countryside, one word, but you must use the article the. It's not optional. The countryside usually offers healthier work. So work is always singular, there's no S on it. Healthier work than in the city. And very nice comparison. I like that. So just two sentence structure issues, but very nice. The countryside people work hard to make our life easier. Wow. I love that. Great job. Nice sentence. Exactly. So not far away is nearby. So maybe you want to have coffee or lunch with a friend or family member, and then they say, "Oh, should we drive?" And you say, "No, let's walk. It's nearby." It is nearby. It's nearby. The cafe is nearby. Let's walk. It's a beautiful day and it's nearby. Now, what is nearby to me may be different for you. It just really depends on context, but it just means not far away. How about this? Recently, working remotely has been very popular. Excellent job with recently And your present perfect has been very nicely done. Recently, working remotely has been very popular, but that could be more possible in the cities. Very nice. I have to commute to a nearby town. Excellent job using nearby as an adjective. I have to commute, so move from one location to another. I have to commute to a nearby town because all customers live there. Ooh, thanks for sharing that. Well written. We haven't talked about the cost of living in the countryside. Okay, in the countryside, this is an introduction. So you still need a subject. In the countryside, it is way cheaper than the city. Or you could say in the countryside, the cost of living is cheaper, is way cheaper than the city. Okay, but really nice idea that you've expressed. How about this one on the screen? In large cities, because there are different degrees of cities, a city could just be with 500,000 people, or it could be with 5 million people. 10 million people or more. So there are certainly different degrees of cities as well. And the same goes for the countryside. You can have a rural town with literally 100 people or 10,000 people. So there are certainly different degrees. In large cities, professionals often attend events to meet people in their industry. Mhm. Yes. So you can make this contrast in large cities, in small cities, in large towns, because you wouldn't say in large countrysides, you would change the word to towns or in large rural areas, for example, in large cities. Professionals often attend, again, our adverb of frequency, often, but it means not always. Often attend events to meet people in their industry. So, networking events. In the countryside, the living expenses, yeah, the living expenses, so expenses is plural, are way cheaper. Just way, because already intensifies it. And cheaper, you don't need more there, are way cheaper than cities. Well done. In large cities, you are highly likely, I like that. I like highly likely. You are highly likely, so it's increasing the level of likelihood. You are highly likely to land lucrative. So a lucrative job is one that pays a good salary. Lucrative jobs one way or another. Well done. That's a great sentence. Okay, in smaller towns. So we saw in large cities. Now remember I said you can't say in large countrysides. You would have to use the word towns. So a town is the name of the community. In smaller towns, the professional community is often smaller. But relationships can feel more personal. So here we're using that negative, but, however, and then something that sounds more positive. Relationships can feel more personal. Of course, that's a positive. How about we move on to culture and social life? Oh, what do you think of when you think of culture and social life in a city compared to in the countryside? One thing many people enjoy about city life. So many people enjoy about country life, about city life, about living in the city, because about is a preposition. So if you used a verb, it would be about living in the city, living in the country. One thing many people enjoy about city life is that there is always something happening. There's always something happening. So, happening here means taking place or going on. It's very common for native speakers to say, always something going on. So, you can find an event, a concert, a conference, a networking opportunity, a class to take. You can just find different parks or outdoor facilities to go to, shopping malls. All of those represent something happening. There's something to do, there's something to see, there's something to participate in. Urban areas provide a more vibrant culture and social life than rural areas. Very nicely said. I like that. Okay, I didn't read the rest of this, but from my perspective. So it's in my opinion, from my perspective. From my perspective. Okay, so make sure you change that. In the city, there is always something to do. You don't need the word what. So it's incorrect with what. In the city, there is always something to do. There's always something to do. There's always some event going on. There's always something to do. In the countryside, people are friendly and outgoing. That is often a complaint about large cities. People are rude. People are always in a hurry. People won't stop to help you if you need it. But in the countryside, it's a different situation. People are friendly and outgoing. Okay. How about this one? Cities usually have a wide variety of restaurants. So, a wide variety means many different. So, instead of saying there are many different restaurants, you say there's a wide variety. You can say that with when you go to a store even, there was a wide variety of dresses, different styles of dresses or shirts or whatever, shoes at the new store, for example. Cities usually have a wide variety of restaurants, events, and cultural activities. So, this reinforces the point that there's always something going on, there's always something happening. It's common to see some events in towns that have to do with the town culture. Very nice. That's one thing I really like because it's a way to enjoy with other people. Very nice. How about this? Cities usually have a wide, oh, sorry, we already did that one. I'm like, this sounds familiar. Okay. In the countryside, so we're talking about the city. So in the countryside. Now remember here it said cities, cities. When you have the plural noun, you don't need an article. Okay. So if it were just city, you would have to say my city, the city, this city. But when you have the plural noun, you don't need an article. So here in the countryside, remember, this isn't a noun. This is an introductory phrase. Okay. So the noun would be towns, towns. But here in the countryside, social life often revolves around neighbors and local community events. And one student was just talking about how there are a lot of local community events. Oh, I love this. In terms of, and then something. In terms of finding a job, the the city is the best in terms of raising children, in terms of retiring, in terms of health and wellness, whatever it might be. The countryside is the best. Perfect sentence. And then you could go on and expand on this and then just provide reasons why. Because, in my opinion, in my experience, and then you can expand on that. Some people say the city never sleeps. Ooh, have you heard this? Yeah, they definitely describe large cities as a city that never sleeps. So a friend might ask you like, "Oh, well, what time does this restaurant or store close?" And then you in New York, you can say, "In New York, the city never sleeps." So it represents that there's always something to do, there's something to eat, there's something to buy, no matter what time it is. But in smaller cities, that's certainly not the case. And in towns, that's certainly not the case. So if you live in a large city, or maybe even it's not large, but it's a vibrant city, for example, Las Vegas is not a large city in terms of population, but Vegas is the entertainment capital of the US. So you could say Vegas never sleeps. There's always something to do, to see, to eat, to buy, no matter what time it is. So some people say the city never sleeps, while the country offers a slower and quieter lifestyle. So again, we're making this contrast here. We say something positive about the city, but then we say other people may prefer something different. So that's a great way to do that. And exactly, New York. Yeah, Mumbai for sure. Yeah. No, it's not necessary to use the word city. For example, you don't need to say Mumbai city, okay? It's because New York is a state. It's a little confusing. New York is a state, and then there's also New York as a city. So the name is for two different things. So people generally say New York City to let you know it's not the state of New York, it's the city, New York City, NYC. But that's specific to New York. You would just say the name of the city: Mumbai, Toronto, Paris. You don't say Paris City, you just say Paris. Okay, good question. Delhi never sleeps. Very nice. Sao Paulo never sleeps. Very nice. My city is pretty small. It's only about a population of 1 million. It definitely sleeps. My city is pretty sleepy after 10 p.m. Bangkok definitely never sleeps. Exactly, exactly. Hong Kong never sleeps. Exactly. Yeah, Ottawa. Ottawa sleeps. Ottawa. So actually, as a negative, you can describe a city as to be sleepy. So a lot of people say Ottawa is sleepy. Ottawa is sleepy. Okay. This means that the city of Ottawa, where I live, it's kind of boring. And it's a complaint that many people have, especially students who come to one of the universities, because at 10 p.m., the city basically shuts down. So Ottawa is sleepy. That's a negative. Now, saying the city never sleeps, well, you can say that as a negative if you are raising a family in the middle of the city and it's really noisy and you want it to be quiet. So you can say it as a negative as well. London never sleeps, Chicago never sleeps. Very nice. Love it. How about the Pace, challenges, and cost. So we've talked a little bit about the pace already. How about this? City life can feel very busy. So instead of very busy, my smart students have already introduced a lot of adjectives like hectic. There's a lot of hustle and bustle. That would be a good one as well. City life can feel very busy, especially if you have a long commute and a demanding job. Here's a good one. Cities are often polluted. Yeah, for sure. Good one. Yeah, you would say raising a family. Raising a family in cities is very expensive, for sure. How about this? Country life. So you can say country life, city life, living in the country, living in the city. So country life usually moves at a slower pace. So to move at a slower pace. So of course, city, you could say city life usually moves at a faster pace. You could also say country life is slow paced and city life is fast paced. So you could use those as well. Country life usually moves at a slower pace, which many people find relaxing. So you could say something positive here. Or you can take this exact thing and make it sound negative. Country life usually moves at a slower pace, which many people find boring, which many people find frustrating. So you can turn this exact sentence into a positive or a negative by changing this one adjective. People find boring, frustrating, relaxing, peaceful, calming, whatever that is. Some people prefer to avoid the hustle and bustle of cities. Exactly, the hustle and bustle that represents all the traffic, the noise, the sirens, the lights. All of that is the hustle and bustle. Now, notice the T is silent. Hustle, bustle, hustle and bustle, and the and is pronounced as hustle and bustle, hustle, bustle, hustle and bustle. Some people prefer to avoid the hustle and bustle of cities. Very nice. I love country life. Very nice. And you can provide the reasons why. You can even compare or contrast that to the city. In the country, you have to plan your fun, but in the city, the fun finds you. I've never heard that before. I don't know if AI wrote that for you, but it's very clever. Very clever. Living in a big city can be expensive. Okay, so here, notice your gerund expression living in a big city. Living in the countryside can be, and then you could change it. Living in a big city can be expensive, especially when it comes to. So, when it comes to. So, notice comes is in the third person singular because it comes to, and then a noun. Housing is a noun. It represents all the different housing options. So, all the different options for you to live condo, apartment, townhouse, home, all of that would be housing. So, to buy a home or to rent. So, you can change this to living in a small town can be cheap or less expensive, especially when it comes to, and then you can change, you can keep it as housing or comes to utilities, comes to transportation, whatever it might be, comes to property taxes. You can just be as specific or general as you want. City life is fast paced. fast paced. Everyone is on the run. Yeah, to be on the run, you're not actually running. It just means everyone is moving quickly. If you're in New York, good luck trying to ask someone for directions or the time because you can't get anyone's attention. They're just on the run. They're moving very quickly. Ooh, parking is challenging in cities. Exactly. Very nice. Many people move to the countryside. Okay, so here, move to the countryside. So they're talking about changing the location. So they lived in the city, but then they changed their location. They moved to the countryside. They moved to the country. They moved to a town because they want more space and a quieter way of life. A quieter way of life. You could also just say a quieter life. Way of life just is more dramatic, a little more emphasized. Living in a big city can be crowded. Exactly, especially when they go to work. Especially when maybe I would say, especially when commuting to work, because you don't need go and after, you could just say, especially when commuting to work, or especially before and after work, but not exactly when, especially when. In the city, many people barely make ends meet. Exactly. Ooh, living in Sao Paulo, countryside is as expensive as, excellent job getting as expensive as big cities. Unfortunately. Yeah, for sure. Especially after COVID, many of the small towns just outside of the city I live in, they exploded during COVID. So many people moved out to these towns. So many more houses were built, but the prices skyrocketed as well. I don't even know if they're that cheap anymore. They certainly can be as expensive as cities when you factor in the additional expenses for commuting and other things that you have to pay for in the countryside. Very nice. All right, everyone. That is my last slide. I hope you enjoyed our lesson today discussing city life and country life. And if you have any suggestions for the next lesson, feel free to share it in the comments and I will definitely consider it when I'm planning the next lesson. Ottawa, this is my city. Ottawa has become significantly more expensive. Exactly. Right around COVID for sure. All right. Yes. And if you enjoyed this lesson, put yes, yes, yes in the comments. So glad you enjoyed it. Woohoo. And yes, let me know if you have a lesson request. I'm happy to take it into account. Oh, free time. What do you guys think? You can put free time or thumbs up this comment if you can. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And I will see all of you in my next one. Bye.